Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast, episode 188B. Welcome to Raging Bullets. I'm Sean Whalen, Dr. Norge on the comic forums, and I'm also the host that doesn't seem to know how to edit a show after 188 episodes. Okay. Here's what happened. 188 was originally supposed to have JSA All Stars #1 as a part of the lineup. Well, apparently when I originally did the edit, as some of you who are listening to this well realize, I put in the Great 10 and JSA number 33 review twice. So what I decided to do, we're going to still have another new show, 189, coming up this week, but I decided to just re-release this as a quick little mini-sode with the missing footage. I figured for people that already went through and listened to that episode, that you're probably like, well, I don't want to go and re-listen to the whole show again, Sean, so I decided to release this separately. And I put out a re-edit of episode 188 without the second duplicated Great 10 JSA segment in there. So if you haven't listened to 188, that has been re-edited and put out minus the JSA All Stars and the duplicate part. And I figured this was probably the easiest way to make it easy listening for people who didn't listen to the first part, and for people who already did listen through it, you can kind of just enjoy this. So we're just going to jump right into it. Our sponsors, as always, are DCBService.com and InStockTrades.com. I'm just going to kind of jump right into the show from here. Want to remind everyone to check out comics4sight.com and to help out John Ostrander. I think it's really great. It's a wonderful program. And also the Hero Initiative at heroinitiative.org. These are just wonderful programs that we love supporting. And seeing as the Sensei isn't currently with me, I'm just going to really quickly remind everyone that we are going to be talking about JSA All Stars #1. It's in-depth and spoiler-filled. If you haven't read it, you're going to want to wait to listen to this episode until you've actually read it. And here's JSA All Stars #1. I promise. This is a book I was deeply waiting for, JSA All Stars.
Oh, big time, big time.
I was really excited for this one. It has two covers. The alternate cover is very pretty. It's by Ryan Sook. And this one, it's great to see Freddy doing so many different characters on this. Because we're more used to Freddy on, like, basically a solo character book. You know, doing something
right.
like Robin, or doing something like The Flash. I mean, The Flash has the Flash family, but still kind of a character-focused book. Even Human Flame. To see him on this book now is really great, to see him have an opportunity to really flesh out so many different characters.
Yeah, different styles, different looks of the character. And just the cover, as I mentioned with Cyclone, just the way he drew her, I was just like, wow. That just really, and it's only like half her face, because they really only show half of everybody's face, kind of. Right. But it's still, I thought it was just like, kind of like, wow, that's outstanding. Now
this book does open up, and I'm going to give probably one of the most sincere compliments of this whole thing, is when the 2-page splash in this was part of that preview that's been in the back of all the books.
Yeah.
And at nighttime before I go to bed, my wife will start to fall asleep first, so I'll pull out we'll sit and chat, and then I'll pull out a couple comics and start to read. Well, she started looking over as I was looking through some of the preview pages, and this double-page spread she saw and said, boy, that looks cool. And I mean, for her to say that, she doesn't usually compliment specifically on things, but she started asking me about specific characters. And that's not, she'll say stuff deliberately to kind of show some interest just because I do. She's trying to throw me a bone. But this was very genuine because she started asking questions, which that's the sign that she's actually really interested. Yeah. It was just like the quick little comment, like, it's kind of a, she's trying to make me feel good. This was because she was genuinely interested. It was very cool because she wanted to know who. And this is a team that, when you take a look at this squad, they're very interesting to look at when they're in battle, because every character is unique and different. I did like that they gave you kind of a jumping on point as far as who each of the characters are and what their power set is. Like the old roll call.
Yeah.
Across the bottom, Power Girl being Superman's cousin from Earth 2, Magog giving godlike powers by I mean, I could keep going, but I mean, I liked that concept of having that on there as they're fighting this
army of Rishkis.
Yeah, exactly. Who are really gonna get their butts kicked.
They're just pure cannon fire,
yeah.
And that was something I kind of dig. We later find out they're not even actually creatures. They're androids, robots. Right. But it was the neat thing was that Power Girl even says she looked at them with X-ray vision and with the supervision, and she couldn't tell that.
Right.
So these were it's some serious, major, hardcore tech if they can keep that from her.
But one of the things that I really liked is you get to know the characters along the way, and you get to know some of the weaknesses of this team that shows that this is a new squad. Even though these are characters that have fought together in the main Justice Society book, this is a new concept for this squad, so getting used to, in the field, operating under Magog's rules isn't something they're used to yet. They're still operating like loose cannons, like superheroes, versus a military-style squad. I love this, ow, you commie bastard. That my dad used to say that kind of thing all the time. Showing a little nod to that. Judo Master seeing her, in the fighting. But even when, like Magog says that they're robots, King Chimera, I'm going to keep calling him Kid Chimera.
You're going to call him Kid Chimera forever.
I've got the kid part in my head. But I believe the technical term is android. He will not give him the respect of just letting him have his moment as leader.
Right.
He is going to be the insubordinate to some level, as long as he can. But the second that Power Girl realizes that they're androids, she starts having fun.
Yeah, she opens up because she doesn't have to pull her punches. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have to worry about human life. So guess what? Done. Game on now.
Also, not comfortable following his orders because he's the battlefield commander. So she technically should back off and follow his lead. Instead, though, it does show that she's not comfortable being in the role of being led by him yet.
Yeah. Well, I like the one sequence. She takes out the tank, and like Citizen Steel. She's like, "Oh, sorry, was that your tank?" He's like, "Wait, aren't you on the blue team?"
Right.
Because it was red team who had the tanks, And I liked how
it gives us this concept through the battle, rather than spelling it out. In the battle, we start to realize, oh wait, they're broken up into little squads who are supposed to have specific functions in this battle. This has been set up as a strategic attack. And I like that because it does show that the leader here has now put them in targeted groups for specific purposes. And I guarantee you red team, blue team, gold team would change if needed.
Well, the team is set, I think, because it's probably offsetting powers and but what they would do.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
would be to the situation they would change. You're right. The complementary powers and things like that.
The teams are set.
Right.
Gold team is somebody, your red team is this and that, and and I do like because that is a classic military concept with your battle plan with your team. You have your standard operating procedure. You do this. This is your team. You do this. Bam, bam, bam. Especially strike forces where you have limited, resources. You have to have everybody doing exactly what they're going to do. And it's, one of the things with training, you drill and you drill and you drill and you drill over and over and over in the head. So when it comes to a combat moment, you're not thinking about it. It's just natural instinct. We've seen that, where they've talked about with Diana and her fighting, it was Diana's speed versus Superman's speed. Mm-hmm. Diana has the muscle memory from constant years of training to fight. Superman's raw faster, but in a fight, she would be faster because she doesn't have to think about it. That's the kind of mindset you need when you're a strike force, when you're a small ops team like this. And I like when we start seeing the training go on later on, that they start getting into that over and over and over again, drill it in, lock it home. Because even like, Kat was talking how he's like, what team am I? What team are you? And he was still confused because it wasn't still set in his brain. And it's, it's something you got to get with time. You have to get with the constant training.
Willingham and Sturgis are trying to kill their art teams. On both books.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I've noticed, there's a lot going on, both in the foreground and the background. So that means, script-wise, they've got to be putting a lot of in there. And, it's being translated incredibly well by the art teams. But it is something that I really enjoy about this is I'm just like, whoa. This is a book that, in all honesty, you get a lot of value just going back and looking at it because you can't catch everything the first time through.
Yeah.
And I like that. I mean, that to me that's a joy of reading comics is when you go back through and find something new every time. And I'm constantly finding that with this series. I think you are the Damage of podcasting.
Me?
Yeah, because this line here, kadoosh. Now that's how it's done. I could see you saying that. You make all kinds of weird noises like that throughout the podcast.
Sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah, right. Your ka-ching, your watish, your dun dun dun, all that stuff. You are you're
my own sound effects too.
You are. You're
and you say, you know what? You got to do it sometimes. You just got to let the flow go. Get the groove going, and And I do like how, as this complete psychotic craziness, we start getting that alarm in the bad guys. And you know what? When your bad guys start beeping and making alarms,
and Stargirl notices it from a distance right away.
Right.
And that shows that she is. I like that because it shows again she's a veteran on the field.
Yes,
you got to remember with her age, she has been around in the game for a long time now, and in a lot of cases, longer than most of the team. She's actually been a hero longer.
Yeah,
or operating and
she's been a superhero team for a while,
longer than Magog.
Yes.
Now, Magog has, obviously his military background for longer, but, she's been playing this game for quite a long time. So it is interesting to see that. Great. Which order am I supposed to follow? Yeah. The perfect question from Wildcat Jr. Both Power Girl and Magog are throwing out all kinds of orders.
They're throwing out contradicting orders.
Right. To the detriment of the team.
And it's the Power Girl's throwing out the superhero answer, Magog's throwing out the military answer. She's like, hey, I don't like the look of this, because when bad guys beep, that's usually a bad thing. Fall back, regroup, get the civilians out of there. She's like, hey, everybody, hold back. And he's like, no, belay that order, keep fighting. That's the military mindset of press forward, hit them hard, hit them fast, keep going, pour it on. And it's right there is a conflict between the two of them. And, Wildcat's he's like, hey, what do I do now, guys? Because Junior, probably one of, if not the youngest, members of the team, and I'm not talking youngest age, I'm talking youngest as in the superhero game.
Cyclone as well.
Yeah.
And you see both of them kind of freeze during the battle. Wildcat Jr. freezes there. Our man does to a certain extent up at the top of the page, but Cyclone, especially to the point where Cyclone now has to ask for help. She cannot get herself out of the situation. She has to ask for Power Girl for help. It is showing that there are some green people on this team, and all the more reason for Magog's argument later, and I agree with him, actually. I personally would prefer Power Girl leading the team.
Yeah. Because
I want to see Power Girl in that role, but Magog is right to call out on the table, I am leading the squads in the battle. We cannot send mixed signals. We've got to get on the same page. This is the reason why we got here to begin with. And he's right.
Mm-hmm.
He is 100%
definitely
correct. She gets the belt, and, for the purpose of hopefully, they wanted to take one of them alive, but she gets the belt, and little did they know that this thing was going to explode before she had the opportunity to get rid of it. At least I don't think she knew that.
No, they didn't think that. And it was interesting because I do like the whole...
Well, although, I take it back.
They get a couple.
No, but, if you take a look right here with the explosions right there, I guess they do know that the beeping would lead to explosions and there's self-destruction going on at the moment. So...
I think it's probably kind of thought of as a general assumption.
Yeah.
Once again, the bad guys' costumes are beeping.
Right.
Probably not a good thing.
Bam, right. And I do like that Cyclone then does show that she gets her wherewithal back and starts fighting again in that moment. Where Power Girl got everything away and she gets up and does continue to battle. She hasn't totally lost it.
Yeah, and she's got some time in the trenches, so she's not going to be a complete, waste of time. But it's, once again, you said she is young, she is green. She had that, guys, I need some help here. And then once, the initial, okay, bam. And then she's able to, get her, get the mindset going and open up a little bit.
You know what I like about this whole media bit at the end of the fight? They're asking all the questions we are.
Yeah.
Because we've not formally seen how... We saw them say in the end of the JSA issue that they had to split up the teams. But we have no idea why. Why they selected the teams that they did,
right.
Why members wound up there. We're dropped in the middle of this. I thought was fantastic. I didn't expect it to go this way, and I love that it did, because the media was the perfect way to do it. Because the first question I was asking myself, okay, why are Liberty Bell and Our Man not together? Well, Our Man, have you and Liberty Bell separated? Are you getting divorced? We're fine. Most couples don't work at the same office, and I believe that.
Yeah. That's a great answer, and I loved when they were asking Magog, like, your leading, you looked a little shaky out there. Your leadership has been questioned in the past. He's like, I'm not hearing a question here. Next.
Right. And then, Power Girl basically saying, we're going to hold a press conference, we'll answer all your questions, and wow. And even that happened on the next page does show that there was a problem, and she knows, okay, we're going to have a little bit of a verbal warfare here at the moment, because he's right, it was a disaster. I agree with him here. It was a total disaster. And we do see that follow-up phone call from Our Man to his wife, and, you are so hot when you're being official, and that type of stuff. I'm glad to see that the two of them stayed together, because I thought it would have been cheap any other way. And bringing in Rex Tyler, the original Our Man.
Yeah.
Even though it's just a cameo here, and I don't know how much.
I think he's going to be a regular.
Well, a regular as like a fix-it guy.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It's because they're using their property, I guess, as as part of like their base of operation.
Mm-hmm. And he is there offering them. I love the JSA table there. Do you think it says temporary headquarters? So, do you think the entire JSA is going to be operating in the same headquarters eventually? Or are we going to see two separate headquarters?
Oh, no, we're definitely talking two separate headquarters.
Okay.
You got to do that.
So you think the team is divided that much now? Yeah,
I think I think it would be a better, if you can't really run two teams in the same building like that, I think that would mess things up too much. Cause
I don't know. I could see that going either way. I guess it depends to me on, I really want to see the next issue of JSA now to see how that team explains this.
Yeah.
There's a lot we don't know that has happened off camera at the moment that we're gradually finding out. I like that. That we're gradually finding things out. How much interactivity is there going to be? Or could it be completely... It could be... I could see it going either... Actually, I could see it going the way you're saying, but I could see it going the other way, too. I'm interested to see where it's going to go.
I did like that the original Our Man's, offering, hey, you need me, you need some backup, just give me a call, I'm there for you. And the son's like, you and I both know, Mom would kill us if we did this.
Right. Well, especially because he was dead and came back to life.
Yeah.
For the longest time. So would Mom want to lose that again? No, absolutely not. And it's really great and we see Magog here basically telling everyone, I want everyone to go rest. We reconvene at 0600 for training. And this time I expect everyone to pay attention. He needs them to get back on board. We need training. But I like that they're analyzing the situation, pulling out the clues, that these creatures were collecting information.
Yeah, so, that was just a great, think about it, because, this wasn't just an attack, this just wasn't just the villains being bad guys. They were studying us. Once again, they weren't attacking Stargirl. Why aren't they attacking Stargirl? It's, they're waiting for the proper moment to lay out the real attack. And I thought that notion, that concept, just that understanding that he had was just a great, just thought process on his part, and on any of their parts.
I loved when they were trying to choose a team name and trying to come up with one that sounds good. Special Tactical Unit sounds like a Law and Order spin-out. Infinity Inc., been there, done that. And I think Lex Luthor owns a trademark. And J-Force, and which then brings up from...
Gotcha Man.
Yeah. I loved G-Force as a kid.
Okay. Transmute.
Yeah, that was great. So it's Super Squad, which actually is grounded in JSA history, and Power Girl actually was a part of that squad. So it's interesting, and Justice Society of Awesomeness. You know what? That is a lame name that I probably would have created.
Dude, come on, that would have been awesome.
Justice Society of... But it sounds stupid.
No pun intended.
It sounds so stupid when you hear it from that standpoint. But if you were the one saying it, it sounds good.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's still JSA. We're awesome.
This moment, though, with Stargirl...
Yes.
I would be upset too. Why am I being singled out? Why am I with this team? I am much more comfortable with the old guard. That's where I was brought in. I've been there for so long. I'm more rooted in that. Why am I here? And that to me was a very interesting part of this whole thing. Because Power Girl actually does. These kids look up to you. They'll follow your lead. And... they know that you've got experience and attitude, that you are there, and, the way you carry yourself. Because she does carry herself like a hero who's much older.
Oh, definitely.
Because of what she's been through.
Yeah, and it's funny, because as we're just sitting here just looking at this, I really just love how Freddie, just the the fun, friendly, the facial expressions going from the very sad, just where am I going, to that end when they're flying off.
You
want
to be up there with them.
Yes, I really want to be flying up.
Look at the two of them; they're just having an absolute blast. She's sitting on that staff riding it, and as she goes up there, she starts to emulate the way Power Girl's flying.
Yeah,
and the two of them are having this moment together where she's like, when I'm feeling rudderless, when I need to get away from it all, I fly up here and just have this moment that is just so, and it's something only they can do.
Yeah.
This is something, the other heroes cannot experience like they do.
Yeah, this right here is why I would want to fly. To be able to do something like this, because they're going up to the upper atmosphere. We saw that in the Superman movie. We've seen just a lot of visuals.
I think that's the power. If there was one power I would want, that would probably be it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm terrified of heights.
Now I'm thinking about it.
But I'd love to fly.
Well, that's one power I'd want to have with a guarantee that nobody could take it away mid-flight.
Well, you don't have that guarantee.
Yeah.
But see, now me...
It would be worth it.
Well, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. Just me being as psycho as I am, you'd see me always flying with a backpack on. Like, oh, what's the backpack? Oh, my parachute, just in case.
Or be flying like really low to the street or something like that.
Well, see, that
just
would
kind of hovering.
Yeah, just the low speed. Just zoom.
Right. Because even that would be fun. You'd eventually get more confidence and do that.
Yeah.
This training bit, day 1, day 2, day 3, I loved this.
Yeah. Well, the one sequence I liked was the push-up sequence where they're just doing the push-ups, and you see Steel. He's on a specially reinforced platform.
Right.
It's a concrete reinforced.
Wait, not only that, look what's on his back.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of a couple pounds here or there.
Right.
1 or 200. But, a bunch of sacks on his back just to, weight him down. But it's still, he needs the reinforced ground just for his weight. They've talked about that before with him. When he walks, it's a kind of, action and his activity. And even just, he's uncomfortable in his own skin because he's just that pure metal. And so I thought that was just a nice attention to detail that he has to be on a platform because you put him on the ground. Like if you look at a little bit even the sequence before that, when the team is just standing around at day 1, look at his feet. You'll see cracks around his feet on the ground.
Right.
And I love that just because he has so much weight to him that it's going to do that. I thought that was just a nice attention to detail on this sequence, on the previous sequence before. These are just like, wow.
I wonder what parameters they have as far as identifying who would be an instructor and who would be in need of the training. Because Damage has been around an awful long time. So, because technically Our Man identifies himself as an instructor, and I could see that. You would need more than one specifically to do that. But that is interesting. And how there is this need to make sure that people know that you aren't one of the grunts, you're one of the instructors.
Yeah.
You want to... That's very real world. You can't... I don't want to be one... don't you put me down here with them. Yeah. I should be up there with you.
Technically, I'm one of the instructors, but I just like to exercise. And I thought that was actually just a nice little concept. And even, of course, as he continues on, he's like, sir, yes, sir. Don't call me sir. I earned my paycheck. I thought that right there, that's a classic military line of any enlisted. They're not officers. You don't call them sir.
Right. Now, this whole tree thing, with the tree being thrown at Citizen Steel and all that, I like the fact not all of us are invulnerable, Yeah, and I'm sure that'll keep bad guys from throwing trees at you. They're right. You cannot count on, and when we're doing training, we need to prepare you for the fact that in any given situation, the villains are going to go for the jugular. And you need to be ready for that. So we need to teach you how to handle anything coming at you, even the unexpected.
Wildcat fighting, not in cat form.
Mm-hmm.
Just in case. You never would know what's going to happen. You got to be prepared for the moment if you lose your powers. And I kept seeing heroes train for that.
I kept forgetting, though, he can change back.
Yeah.
Because we've seen him in so many
long,
issues.
He's in cat form.
Right.
He's actually probably more comfortable in cat form.
I would think so. But I like that they reminded us here that he can switch back. Because I forgot.
Yeah.
So this is really cool. Kid Chimera... Or King Chimera. Yeah, you're right. I'm going to keep doing it. He's always going to be Kid Chimera to me. King Chimera here, his attitude is really getting the better of him. You know, because he's one of those guys that's constantly putting digs in with everybody with his superiority. I'd want to punch him at this stage.
Yeah, I'm glad Grant did.
But usually people who do that outwardly have something going on internally.
Yeah.
I want to know what that is with him.
Yes.
I'm very interested in this character. There is more to his story, and I want to see what it is. I want to know what is driving him. Because he has this moment
With Maxine, yeah. Yeah, and I love it. It was just one of those things like, oh my God.
Because it was two-sided, wasn't it? He had it too, didn't he?
I think
Or is
so.
it just her?
I don't know. I'm thinking so
Because he says, can I help you with something? And when she goes, towel, he says, yes, thank you. So he drops he could have made a snarky comeback there.
And he didn't make the snarky comment. And it was one of those where he's looking at her eyes.
Loony-eyed girl or something like that. So there is something about him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Stargirl, I get the impression she's an instructor as well, correct?
Yeah, probably.
Because of his longevity?
Yeah.
Now, here was a guy, I was worried we weren't going to see him. Sand.
Yes.
What is he dreaming about when he's falling asleep that he's trying to avoid? I'm hoping that we do see him wind up on one of these two teams. My preference would be on...
Old School?
Except with his appearance here...
He's going to be All Stars, yeah. So
I'll take him either way.
Yeah, he's another... I would have immediately thought Old School because of who he is, what he's done,
how long he's been.
how long he's been with them.
But I don't know.
I don't know. You think about it, he could.
I just want to see him wind up somewhere.
Here as well. Yeah,
I want to see him wind up somewhere. Yeah. This book is fine because just as long as we see him, we finally see the press conference between them, and their explanation as far as we've created a new unit with the JSA, a new way of doing what we do. And, they're trying to build better heroes. They're trying to build a better way of doing it. And the only way to do that is to look at things in a new way. This was the original concept of the society when it was pulled together, building better heroes. But now they're trying to say, if you want us to build better heroes, we've got to do it a new way. We've got to think outside the box. We've got to change the way we operate. And lo and behold...
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, shut up and I will kill you. And, shut up or I will kill you.
The one reporter is going to the other one saying, hey, aren't you going to write something down? You'll get in trouble with your boss. And so she writes down, shut up or I will kill you.
Right.
I love that. I was like, yes, okay, bad guy right there. And that's kind of a very clear and cut location. And bam.
Sylvester Pemberton's nephew is now the one that's taking them down. And I do like that the squad here... Gold team is defense, crowd control, and go. Red and blue teams with me engage. They do operate a little better this time.
Oh, definitely. They definitely do keep to the teams, and you can see them working more as a unit as they should. Now, I have no idea who this guy is, by the way.
Well, do you know who Sylvester Pemberton is?
Star
Spangled Kid.
Oh, okay.
So this is his nephew.
Oh, okay.
So he is, steeped in kind of the lore.
He's been around. Okay.
Right. Obviously a bad guy.
Obviously, because he's attacking the good guys.
Right.
That I could tell right away. I just didn't know if he had a history with the JSA.
Well, yeah, and I mean, this is interactions with Power Girl show you that.
Okay.
Hello, Power Girl. It's been a while, hasn't it? How's Sylvester? Still dead? And you see where that's going. So now, what was interesting here in this attack, they were looking to get Stargirl.
Yeah, it was
so
finally...
this was a targeted attack at this point.
Yeah, she'd never been attacked before. Finally, okay, those orders kind of got dropped down, but it's still not a kill order. It's just an attack order. It's just they get her, seize her, do what you have to take her.
Now, what was interesting here is they won this, but they asked, the question is, where is Stargirl? And we see her with the guy with the mask. Now, that's Johnny Sorrow. He was in the previous series. My question, though, is... He takes off his mask, and that is how his powers work. Is that just Johnny Sorrow? Is there something more to it? I'm wondering where Atom Smasher is. I don't know if...
because they mentioned he's not around. They're like,
I don't think that's him, but Johnny Sorrow is actually a character from the past, and I think that is just the Johnny Sorrow that was in the last series.
Now, did Johnny Sorrow have a connection to Stargirl and all that stuff?
That's an interesting question. I don't remember there being a connection between the two. Now, interesting for me is I actually went on Wikipedia to look up a little bit more about Johnny Sorrow because I'm like, I don't remember him having this deep-rooted connection to Stargirl, so I don't know if this is new on some level or where that came from. But he did have a deep, venomous hate for the team, and in particular Sand.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's been so long.
That could be explained what Sand's seeing. Sand's seeing the return of Johnny Sorrow,
I
maybe?
think, though, because they've alluded to the fact that there's bad times coming for the JSA. I think Sand's I think whatever Sand's seeing, although maybe he's being brought back for Johnny Sorrow. You're right. Maybe that's why
That
he's
could
in
be
here.
if you're saying, because once you said Sand, I'm like, maybe that's it. And
Yeah.
Now the one thing I did like is where the All-Star name came from. How they finally settled in the middle of the battle. Cyclones, we're not the farm team, we're the All-Stars. I was like, okay. Yeah, and I'm glad she was the one who came up with it. Yeah, I'm glad she came up with it because she had the Justice Society of Awesomeness. She's kind of redeemed herself a little bit. And it came right in the middle of the flow in the battle and all that stuff. And I tell you, a couple of the Wildcat images I absolutely loved, by the way.
She wasn't the one who said Justice Society of Awesomeness.
Yeah, she was.
No, it wasn't. That was one of the other characters. Take a look back.
I thought she said it.
No, that wasn't him. That was Damage. Damage said Justice Society of Awesomeness. See?
Okay, I stand corrected. It was Damage who said it. She threw out the Super Squad.
Right.
Okay, so
which does have a rich history with the JSA. That's where Power Girl came from, and the second Robin, and I'm sorry, not the second Robin, Dick Grayson, when he adopted more of the adult costume, and I forget who the third character was. Maybe Huntress?
Yeah.
Maybe it was Huntress instead of Robin. Yeah, that might have been Power Girl, Huntress, and Star Spangled Kid. I might be wrong on that. I think that's what it was, Power Girl, Huntress, and Star Spangled Kid. I think we're in that Super Squad. But, yeah, it's cool. I mean, it was... interesting that the All Stars name coming from that. It sounds good.
Yeah, it definitely sounds really cool, and I like the flow of it. And we've been talking about artwork, and I said how much I loved Freddie's drawing of Cyclone. I do also have to say just his drawing of Wildcat. Like a couple of his pouncing, his posing. It's very it's very feline. It's got that body mechanics.
And he needs to look different than Dad in that respect because Dad doesn't turn into that. Right. That was a great story in the 80-page Giant.
Yes.
Wildcat, kind of explaining his origins and where that came from and how it's linked. I don't want to spoil that for anybody who didn't read it. Read the 80-page. If you love these two books right now, the ones we were just chatting about, pick up the 80-pager because very cool. Very, very much a compliment to what's going on in these books. They nailed it. This issue was the one for me. I'm like, whoa. That was cool. So it's between the two of them and the way it kind of flowed into that. I'm looking forward to the next issue of JSA.
I know, and it's funny because when we in the beginning of the our episode we talked about top 5 and we both put it in our top 5
that's
and then, and I threw this in over the other Justice Society, but I guarantee you, after I read the next Justice, I'm like, okay, no, I gotta keep this. And this is one of those things where these two titles will keep going back and forth, saying, no, this isn't the depending on which one I just read.
Yeah, that's a very, very good read. And you know what? The truth of the matter is, when you talk about top 5s, everybody has different top 5s. And there's going to be certain titles which will jump up ahead, and it has to do with longevity. My longevity with JSA, is that a statement like people are going to be saying, how can you say that with what's going on in Green Lantern right now, or what's going on in it's like I got a Batman book in there. I had to have a Batman book in there, so I picked Batman and Robin, which is kind of the flagship right now that I'm really digging. But so I will always have a Batman book wind up in there. Green Lantern's awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's a toughie.
Anyone who's a Green Lantern fan right now will have that book and those two books in their top 5, and they should. It's my longevity with JSA is longer. As far as consistently reading month after month, and then the crossovers when I was a kid and all that, those characters are ones that mean a lot to me. And
it's funny because, with me, I went with this because I'm probably more of a Green Lantern fan over JSA fan, but it's... I don't know.
You know what
There's something, just the excitement going on of this really has me hooked into it, really has me thinking where this is going to go.
What are your top 5s right now? I'd love to hear that from listeners. I'm not talking about you. We just did ours. But from listeners, what are your top 5 books right now in our episode thread? Come on there and tell us what yours are, because I love seeing that. I know they're going to be different. We've got people that have their own unique... I love seeing what they are, though. What are the books right now that if you had to... Maybe you are only reading 5. Some of you are in the same boat I am. If you had to cut down to 5, what would you cut down to? That is... I feel like dirty at doing that, though.
I know, it's tough, man.
Because as far as quality right now, one of the reasons why we do this show the way we do is I'm having so much fun. Honestly, if I wasn't having as much fun reading these comics as I am, I wouldn't do this show. I would do something else.
Definitely. Yeah,
I'd still podcast, but I would do a different kind of podcast because it's like, what's the point? This is fun. I mean, and this is the great example of a book that's keeping it that way.
Can Batman escape? One hint, the worst is yet to come.
Anyway, sorry about that. Once again, a reminder about our sponsors, dcbservice.com and instocktrades.com. Check out comics4site.com to help out John Ostrander, the Hero Initiative at heroinitiative.org. And we will be back in a few days with episode 189 with all the content that we promised on the end of 188.